If Congress doesn't act by July 1st, federal student loan rates are set to double. And that means that the average student with these loans will rack up an additional $1,000 in debt. That's like a $1,000 tax hike.
All right, that alarm you heard in the background was someone in Washington saying, they're spending again. Meanwhile, the president pushed to give kids a break, moving heaven and earth, he says, to prevent those rate hikes. But I want everyone to step back here and fathom what's really going on here. We're talking about preventing student loan rates from jumping to 6.8%. Now, that is still historically low by anyone's standard. But, of course, by comparison to the unreal low of 3.4% students are enjoying now, by comparison, really Jimmy Carter-ish. But should it be? Should our government be artificially keeping student loan rates obscenely low, ridiculously low, unrealistically low, to hide the reality that this is, well, unreal? To Adam Lashinsky, Lizzie McDonald, Ron Meyer. Now, Lizzie, we could certainly make the argument the Fed is doing the same in the greater sense by artificially keeping rates low for everybody. So I can understand that the students want a part of this. But I just think it's a slippery slope.
You know, we do want to help our students. Absolutely. We want to help them get a higher education. We want to do all we can for them. But when you have the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, and the Financial Stability Board now saying, we are studying this, we're examining this because this is so scary and so risky to our economy, it could destabilize our economy. When you have student loan debt that's second to mortgages, when you have more students walking away, as subprime borrowers did, away from their loans, you got to say, this is a bubble in search of a pin. And what have we done to our students to not have a good market for these student loans? Have we aided and abetted basically a college empire, a college system, a university system that basically is operating like a hotel empire? They are modeled on the hotel business model. And that is to have amenities, to have rock climbing walls, to have great cafeterias, expensive gyms that the students are paying tuition for and they really can't afford it.
I like that. You know, Ron Meyer, one could argue that it would obviously be a shock to students who would effectively see these rates double. But at what point do we get them back to natural market rates? In other words, what I was dealing with when I went to school, and those rates were much higher, obviously. But even allowing for that, there was these student discount rates as well. But even they were based on a free market type formula. I worry that it's going to embolden more and more with a sort of a slice rate that doesn't reflect reality. And by the way, I would apply the same criticism to the Fed, unrealistically, foisting this view that rates are at these realistic levels that are not realistic. What do you say?
Well, the problem is the whole system, right? So we have this nationalized system where the government controls the rate. Now, my problem is that the government makes 33.6 cents on every dollar it loans out. So they have this interest rate that they set, but really they're the only benefactors from it. It's not like the interest rate controls access. The argument that you and Liz are making is that it actually controls access. You have unlimited access to education right now because you can get a loan for any amount to go to any school, essentially, with this current program. And that's the problem, is that government is setting students up to fail by telling them they should go to college, they should take out 60 grand in debt, and that it doesn't matter what they major in. And that's the problem, is that we actually need to get students to think about what they're going to major in, how it's going to prepare them to succeed, and to make them consider how much then loans they're taking out. And that's something that a private system would do, and that this system where there's no restriction, there's no screening as far as how many loans you can take out and how much you can take out. That's the problem. It sets students up to fail.
Well, but Adam, my bigger issue with this is the easier you make it to provide funding for kids who might sorely need that funding. I don't dismiss that. The more you make it easy for the institutions themselves to keep raising the prices because they feel, well, they're getting more loan money or cheaper loan money, so we can keep jacking up these tuitions and room and board fees and all the rest.
Right.
Yeah. This is one of those instances where I completely agree with your thesis, Neil. I think you're absolutely right.
Do we have a thunderbolt or?
No, I hate to do that. I know how much that disappoints you. So having said that, I'll try to get into the nitty-gritty where I can disagree a little bit, which is I agree with the president that we've set up this horrible system. We shouldn't double the rates with the stroke of a pen because that's not good policy. We should look at it. And furthermore, the president should be using his bully pulpit to address the kinds of issues that Liz was talking about. And I think she's right. The costs have gotten out of control. They're not always about education. this is something where we could use leadership on, because we're not going to get leadership from the academic institutions. They don't give a damn. They're making their money. So I think that, we don't want to get too focused. The government, by the way, should help students with student loans. I think it's a good idea. But again, I agree with you, not ridiculously, artificially low rates, because that's not sustainable.
But our whole system now is weaned off the government.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. the federal government
we should wean. I agree.
The federal government took over student loans in 2010. Direct lending by the U.S. Department of Education. I'll tell you something. When you have the U.S. academic system, the college system, built on the nonprofit system, meaning they're tax exempt, they can even issue tax exempt bonds. You got to say to yourself, hey, they've got it pretty sweet over there. Adam is right. I mean, nearly $900,000 for the dean of the Harvard Law School. Holy cow, that's the equivalent of a high-paid, padded government job for life, And so you have to say to yourself, if they're living,
Harvard.
It is Harvard. But there are a lot of fat cat academics. In fact, these colleges are spending more on administrators. That budget is up 36%.
I have an idea, Liz.
I would say reduce their tax exempt status and make them more market oriented.
I was going to say the same thing, and it's more than half serious. We should have a policy conversation about that. They don't behave like nonprofits, so maybe they shouldn't be nonprofits, and that might solve some of the problems here. Because, by the way, let them make the loans.
No, there you
Interesting.
go. Ron, final word.
Exactly. Well, that's the problem. The lenders used to be a check on higher education. They wouldn't give you a loan if you're going to go to a bad school that wouldn't actually allow you to get a job and pay it off. And that's the problem we're having. The problem is there's no check. And so what higher education is doing is that since that nationalization happened, college tuition has gone up 25%. Average graduating student loan debt has gone up 20%. And so colleges are just running rampant and raising their prices.
And effect there, but
Well, we're as close as we have ever been on any issue together, so it's a kumbaya moment. Let's all hug. All right, when we come back,